Does more dev time make a better game? I think it does. Yes, it does. Animal Well is a really good example. Stardew Valley, not so much. But I think even if you only make one game, if you make 10 games, I think the longer you spend on a game, the more experience you gain, and the more experience you have, the better the game will be. You're gonna make mistakes, especially when you get feedback from playtesters on Steam, on itch, wherever you want to do your first demo in. That will tell you a lot about your direction of the game and how good you are as a developer. Stats like how long do people play, when they quit, and what they don't like about the game, and if you change it or not. So usually a good strategy for knowing if your game is getting better is to put out a playable version somewhere on the internet and then ask for feedback within the game. So for example, you don't want to spend $100 making a game on Steam. You don't want to set up a Steam page yet because you don't know whether you want to continue with the game. Well, another good alternative is itch.io. You can put out your game there and then on the game ask for feedback. That's what the Vampire Survivors guy did, and it worked very well. And so let's see. I want to see. I think it doesn't matter, and yes, you will always make a better game the longer you went, the longer you work on a game, but only if you actually release, if you bring out versions that people can play. If you spend 10 years on a game and you've never had a single person play your game that is not one of your friends, then you're doing something wrong. Like, you should be releasing some part of your game as early as 6 months to a year into your first game. You should get feedback as early as possible. Otherwise, you're always gonna think it's never ready, which I think is a really bad mistake to do. And you're never gonna release anything. Let's see. Why is this muted?
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Hi, everyone. It's me,
Hello.
Tim. Today I want to talk about,
Ouch.
does more dev time mean a better game?
Yes.
This
Yes.
is a question from T4NU1, who asked, "Hey Tim, there's been a myth going around for ages that more development time equals a better product. Is
Myth? That's not a myth.
that myth true? Also, what can't be fixed with more development time?" Yes, this ancient myth about more development time. I believe it's from Mesopotamia, 6,000 or 8,000 years ago.
Wait, what? It's not a
But
myth.
before I talk, I should read a book. These are difficult questions.
Okay.
I'm going to take each one separately, but they kind of lead into each other. First
It's
of all,
not a myth.
does more development time lead to a better game? Does it mean you're going to get a better game out of it?
Yeah.
Yes and no.
Yes.
Yes, in the sense that there are a lot of games out there that ship way too early. And then they fail because their features aren't finished, they're incomplete.
We saw some of these yesterday. Tower defense games that had barely no mechanics in the game, just enemies with HP walking along a lane and then, walking to the exit. And all you can do is get more range or more damage, and that's it. More attack speed. Kind of boring.
There's a lot
It's not like my game. You're wrong. Gonna ban you. 5 minutes. See you later. You're wrong. You're lying.
of bugs, especially crash bugs.
Yep.
It's unoptimized.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, there are literally people who are like, this game went below 30 frames per second. I can't play it. So all three of them.
All of this stuff that he's just describing, that's why you do a demo version or a playtest. Probably a playtest because, listen, I'm not natively English. For me, a demo version was always the playtest itself. But it seems like most people think in terms of demo version is the complete game, but only 10%, 5%, 2% of it. It's already finished. The bugs have been ironed out. What I'm talking about is you have made a game for 6 months. You have a playable version. You have a game loop. Like, for example, you start a level, you can do something in the level, and then you can lose or you can win. That's a gameplay loop. You have that loop finished. You put it out to the public, and then the public plays it, and they tell you that it's crashing, it sucks, here's problems, there's problems, the UI looks off. They give you all of this feedback. This type of feedback is what I'm talking about. And these people have not done that step of a playtest. They have skipped it and just released the game. And so that's why you do a public playtest to get all of this feedback, fix it, and then you go more public.
Those things, unfinished features, bugs, not just crash bugs, but bugs, and lack of optimization will make people not buy your game.
Yeah, true.
And I'll talk about that at the end, about what you can do about that. But I'll tell you right now, I will put all of Troika's games into this category. I've said before, I feel like we shipped all 3 of Troika's games in the alpha stage. If you're wondering what I mean by that.
Sorry, what is Troika's games? Like, there's got to be a game studio that he worked with, right? Troika's games? Hello, Peter, my man. Good morning, bro. Hope you're doing good. Wasn't this the guy that created Dead Space? He made Fallout, the original Fallout. Oh, he's a big developer there. Troika Games? Oh, Troika Games. Kane was among the founders of Troika Games in 1998. His next game reunited him with Thomas R. Decker, the original Fallout producer, as a project leader. Okay, so he produced within the months, they produced Dungeons and Dragons game. Aha. And they produced the Temple of Elemental Evil. Old games. Is it at Steam? Okay, no, listen, maybe it is. You can find some old games, so that's not it. But then we also have the Temple of Elemental Evil. Temple of Elemental Evil. Oh, it's on GOG. There we go. Oh, 200 reviews. Let's see here. €5. Oh, wow, that looks good, man. This would be a game that I would play as a kid, for sure. Yeah. I like these types of games a lot. That's awesome. I really like these types of games. Okay. Now we know what he's talking about. Cakez, he made Temple of Elemental Evil, which takes place in the Dungeons and Dragons universe. Okay. I see.
I have a game production stage video. I'll link it below.
And now, of course, my wife comes in here, leaves the door open, and Zoe's crying. Give me a second. Okay, now we can continue.
I was always jealous.
Wait, sorry, missed context here.
What you can do about that.
Okay.
But I'll tell you right now, I will put all of Troika's games into this category. I've said before, I feel like we shipped all 3 of Troika's games in the alpha stage.
So basically what they did back then, they did early access. They already invented early access before it wasn't even a thing. That's amazing. And it seems to have worked out for them. Crazy.
If you're wondering what I mean by that, I have a game production stage video. I'll link it below. I was always jealous.
Why?
For my entire career, I've been jealous of people who work at companies that have war chests. And by war chest, I mean they have a lot of money, probably from previous successful games.
Oh, I see.
And they could basically fund their games themselves until they were until they were done, until they thought.
Okay, so basically his situation, maybe he's not explained. Maybe he does. He was working under some sort of publisher. They told them how long they have, and they didn't manage to finish the game entirely by that time, so they had to ship the game early in a terrible state. Because they had obligations to fulfill. That's what it looks like to me. Which sucks, of course. Like, if I had to fulfill obligations, I'm pretty sure my game would fail. Which is why I didn't want to take a fundraiser or something that binds me legally or monetary to someone else where they have power and control over what I do. And so I feel like that would just inhibit my creative freedom. Which obviously you can do amazing stuff when you have funding, for sure. Like, you can pay people to do stuff for you.
The developers themselves said this game is done. Unlike most of the rest of us, where we are beholden to publishers who basically, at some point, usually when the money runs out or shortly thereafter, they just pull the ripcord and game goes up on the shelves. And many times I think they figure, well, if this one doesn't do well, we're a publisher, we've got a dozen others coming out. It'll hurt.
And then they just leave it, like, basically they leave it for dead.
It may hurt our reputation a little, but it'll probably hurt the developer's reputation more. So hope they crunch to get as many of those bugs out. And that's why that happens.
I see.
However, I want to do the flip side.
Okay.
No. Sometimes longer development time doesn't lead.
Sometimes. In my case, the game got better. People, 30% of people 36% of people that played my demo version spent a minimum of 1 hour in the game. 36%. Comparatively to before, where 90% of people quit in the first 10 minutes. I'm really proud of this, you know. I'm actually really, really proud of this. It's better. I still like the old demo. Yeah, I mean, some people like the old demo, and we will definitely have playable versions for the old demo for sure. But fact is that it just got much better. There's more polish. The art style is more consistent. It's more clear. And yeah, the gameplay it feels more fluid. And also, like, the animations are really good. Let's continue.
To a better game. Their games have had really, really, really long development times, and they still fail when they ship.
Yep.
And you may ask yourself, okay.
And this is probably because like in most companies and AAA studios, the reason why is because they've gotten too large, and changing something in the game takes too long. Like, for example, changing a main character of the game when you work with a couple of people is much easier because you're just directly talking to each other than if you have different departments and they all need to communicate. And then in the department, they also need to communicate. And maybe you have different locations and then the locations need to communicate. It's like this spider web is just... Bruh.
Why is that? Why does that happen? Because this leads into the OP's other question, which was, what can't be fixed with more development time? And I think there's three categories of things. The first one is bad design. Now, keep in mind, I'm using bad.
But I had bad design. I think it's a lot of work, but it can be fixed. Prime Baby, my man, thank you so much for the support, bro. You are the champ, Cakez. Sub for life, my man. Appreciate it, bro. Let me...
Am I so out of touch? No.
Schmerd just
Heads?
subscribed.
Yeah.
Prime Baby. You are the champ, Cakez. Sub for life.
At what point is it considered just a new game, though? I don't know. When you change the design so much that it feels like a new game? Maybe. So I made a new game, I guess. I took an old game, kept the category, tower defense, the genre, and made a new one. I guess it's a lack of willingness to fix the bad design, like polishing a turd instead of acknowledging you had a turd. I think that could be it, yeah.
Bad in the same sense that I say bad video games, and there's a link to it below. There is no objective bad design. There are designs you don't like, and there are designs that can lead to problems.
Okay.
And there are designs that are really niche. But what I'm talking about is how a design could lead to a game that even additional time spent on development won't fix their issues. And I see, in this first of the 30 categories, I see 3 subcategories of what I'm going to call bad design. The first one is the design is incomplete. And it can be incomplete in a lot of different ways.
Okay.
It may have an incomplete story. There's a hole in the story where you're playing along and something should be explained, or there should have been something you did here and they ran out of time, so it just jumps you forward to some other mission. Or the ending feels rushed. You probably played a lot of games like that, where all of a sudden the last few levels don't look as nice as those first starting levels, and you feel rushed right into some kind of end boss, and then boom, game over. Also, a sign of an incomplete design.
But then, like, that can be fixed with more time. Like, when it's rushed, then they didn't have enough time.
Before is if it's possible for you to make a player build that can finish the game. Maybe somewhere along the line, you have to have a decent lockpick, or you have to have.
I see. Then you don't have enough options to do something, and then the design is incomplete because only giving you one option forces the player into a specific strategy, and then they can't do it when they chose differently.
Decent speech skill, or your combat better be a certain amount, or you're not going to withstand overland travel. Games like this I consider to be incomplete designs. And then finally, there may be...
So basically, an incomplete design is forcing you into one way of doing things and not giving you alternatives. That's what I feel like I get from this. So for example, you have a fire enemy And the only way to overcome the fire enemy's damage is to have fire resistance. And nothing else will help you defeat that enemy. So he could have like some sort of pulsating aura that unless you have enough fire resistance, the pulsating aura will always defeat you before you can even damage the enemy enough so that he dies. Something like this.
Unbalanced skills in the design. And by unbalanced, I don't mean that,
right,
well, it's better to take these than this. I mean so unbalanced that you can't finish unless you have one or two of those skills that are really good.
Yeah.
Or if you only take the really bad skills, again, you can't finish. So it's kind of related to the player build one, but it's specific to skills.
This is balance.
They haven't gone through
and you can fix this with time, though.
All their quest paths and made sure that people with varying kinds of skills can get through them.
Like, there should always be a solution. Yeah, that's what I think. Yeah.
That's an incomplete game design, and that can lead to a bad sales. And if you don't recognize that your game design is incomplete, all the development time in the world isn't gonna
I
help
see.
you.
So he's saying that there is an issue there, but you don't notice it. And so you keep working on other things, and you're not noticing the issue. You're not looking at the game from a different angle. I see.
Now back up to the...
But that, in my opinion, just makes you a bad developer. Because that should be clear just by people giving you feedback if you have a playtest.
The other two issues with bad game design, one of them is what I call mismatched features, where you have well implemented features, but at the design level, they don't fit in your game. A good example of this would be spending a lot of time to put parkour in a game.
Spending a lot of time to put enemies that attack the heroes in a tower defense game, or the towers in a tower defense game, and then maybe that doesn't work, huh? We'll try, okay? We'll see if it works out or not.
That has
haven't decided yet.
It's like, why would I choose to climb when I can just fly? So you end up with features that don't really belong in there. And
I hope that I can keep that feature of enemies attacking back. I hope, because it really is fun. I hope, man.
Short of cutting them out, if you don't recognize they should be cut, all the time in the world isn't going to make these two features mash together well. Other examples may be you have crafting in a game where it makes sense that the best games are the best.
One of the most successful Gacha TD games has it. Gunnos Nymphicus, can you link me the name of that Gacha TD? Arc Knights. Can I safely Google that? I see, so they are blocking enemies, and when you put one of... It's literally the same idea as what I played, the type of game that I played. You block enemies when they get close to you, and I'm pretty sure she has a shield. She might be able to block two enemies approaching. So these two spiked enemies, when they get to her... I don't know if they can walk over this tile. It looks like it's blocked. When they get to her, she can block too. This is your old game, Cakez. This is my old game, but in better. My old game was worse. It didn't have good animations, and yeah. Looks more like a Tactics TD game. Watch a gameplay video. Here. I wonder what that means. So wait, the enemies never attack back? Or maybe these spiked enemies don't. Wait, why don't they attack this guy? This is literally the same. This is literally the same type of game that I played. Exactly the same type of game. The only difference is that you have tiled positions here. And maybe it's directional. But the other game that I played was about the radius. You place a unit in a certain spot that is predefined, and then that unit operates in a radius around itself. All TD games are the same? No, they all have slight variations. I don't understand why you would need to have a direction, but okay. So they cannot... I feel like that's dumb, to be honest. I think this is dumb because she can literally see him. Why can she not attack down? But hey, listen, if the game works and people really like it, So maybe just from looking at it, it just feels weird to me. Z levels? No, like she can literally turn right. It's right next to her. It's like you're standing here, and then right next to you is someone, but you're focusing on this direction. You're like, no, I don't see anything. I'm gonna look at this punch, and I'm not gonna move. I don't. Not her problem, yeah. Yeah. Anyways, okay. How did we even get to this? Anyways,
items are dropped or purchased. So why do you have crafting again? Or maybe you have crafting in games that doesn't even make sense. Maybe it's the far future, and everything is constructed in nano factories, you know, with tiny little components. It doesn't make sense that I could walk up to a workbench and go bam, bam, bam. Look, I made a new laser pistol. If you design your technology, you know, so it's big and clunky, and people can go, okay, that makes sense. I can see why I can work on that big laser gun. But if it's tiny little stuff, it may just not make sense, and it causes this dissonance. Why do you even have crafting in a game like that?
Yeah, okay.
And then the third way, I think, a bad design.
So that's why I started questioning, why do I have enemies attacking my towers in my game? And I might remove it, but I think we are slowly finding a solution. This is what it looks like right now. We have enemies occupying spaces on the map. If I place my unit close to, like, this guy, he's gonna attack. They're gonna attack each other. This one has a very long cooldown on this attack. I'll probably have to remove it, or make it shorter, much shorter. And so he's gonna attack again, or have it in a way where do it differently, but you can also just put them out of range, your units, and then start slowly attacking them. And the reason, like in this case, the reason why we do that is because we want to free our unit from the enemies so that we get another unlocked hero. The solution is passive fields. And so then this right here. And so then these guys can come along, they attack you, and they move on, right? So if I design my game from the ground up with this in mind, maybe it will work. But if it doesn't, then we have to remove it, which would suck. But yeah, I don't know yet. It's a design idea. But I'm aware of the fact that what he's talking about, right? It might not make sense. This seems fair, one attack. One attack seems fair, yeah.
Can hurt you no matter how much time you're given is if you're just trend following. Basically, I've seen...
That was the core concept, what made my game different, but I never really implemented it in a good way yet. Like, I've been focusing on other aspects of the tower defense game, and I kind of neglected this aspect a bit. I've implemented ways of enemies damaging my units, but I need to balance them and make it right. Make it work, essentially. I have not played Legion TD yet, I think. No.
Games that do this where some new feature comes out and now they have to have that, or they see that some features become no longer trendy and now they want to remove it. The more time you give them, the more this will just happen. And then worse, if once they do ship, if they do eventually ship, it may be the case that whatever trend they decided to follow, gamers have seen a lot of games with this already.
Oh, I see.
And
Vampire Survivors.
maybe you did it good and they're just worn out, or maybe you didn't do it as well as these other.
I think the Survivors genre is dying, but it's still doing decently well, right? Let's see, Vampire Survivors. Steam. How much is it? It's definitely going down, even though they're trying so hard to keep the game alive. And it has 3,000 viewers. It's not bad. But hey, it's been steadily going down. They have reached a new low of 3K. They haven't seen this low in like ages. And they have been pushing updates out the wazoo. Like, this was one of the bigger updates as well. Balatro, Tangy TD. So Balatro, wait a minute, Vampire Survivors. And then the other one was Death Must Die. That one's also a big one. How many do we have? 220 in the game. And this one is a really professional pixel art game. Vampire Survivor style. Yeah, this one's even crazier. This was Asmongold probably playing the game? Maybe. And then it just went down. Like, it just... This is one of the genres. If you release a game like that... Wait, Soulstone? Survivors? This one right here, I think this is made by a friend of Superco, is it? Is that made by a friend of your real Superco? Was it this one? Or was it a different... No, I don't think it was this one. It was a different game, right? It's not Soulstone Survivors. No, not Halls of Torment. But yeah, even this game has been falling off as well. Not as bad as the other, but it's still fallen off too. Heap here? No. That doesn't exist. Anyways, okay.
Games. So gamers are like, why should I play this when I can play this? So trend following frequently leads to games that come out and lead to gamers.
2K players every month falling off. If you compare that to when it was hyped and it had 6K players and it's only been going down, then yes, the game is falling off. It's that simple.
It's just going, eh. So that's
It's crazy, but you compare yourself not to other indie games, you compare yourself to yourself.
a problem. I think there's two other non-design reasons why getting extra time won't help you. The first one is there's a couple production ways it can happen. One is if your team skill set doesn't match the game features you've designed. Let's say you want to make a combat heavy
That sounds like Diablo 4.
game, but you don't have really good combat designers.
Sounds like Diablo 4.
Or let's say you want to make a game that's supposed to be in the dark because it's supposed to be scary and horror, but
Yeah.
you have really not skilled lighter
Sounds like Diablo 4.
individuals for the levels. So you
And now
need
the visuals of the Diablo 4 are great, but they don't know how to design boss fights very well. And the mechanics of the boss fights, how they color the mechanics, that's what they don't know how to do.
either end up with pitch black levels or levels where like, why is this sewer lit up as bright as the sun? It's not saying they're bad game developers.
They are.
It's just
Yeah.
what they're good at isn't what you designed.
So
you know, if you try to make a story game and you don't
Then if their job is to make a game, design a level, and that's their job title, then they should be able to design a level. Whether it's a bright level or a dark level, you should be able to do both. That's their
have
job.
any writers on staff, it's not going to be a good story game. That kind of thing.
Sounds like Diablo 4.
And then the other production
I hate the story of Diablo 4. I'm
issue
sorry,
that
it's
frequently
dumb.
creeps in is just bad estimates. I have a whole video on time estimation and ways that can go wrong. But
No.
basically, if people have already given you bad estimates, then if you're trying to finish up and you haven't corrected for those bad estimates, you're just going to get another round of bad estimates, and that extra time is not going to help you. Especially if you didn't recognize that the reason some of these are bad is that your features are just mismatched. So you work really hard to get one feature working, and then they complain about another one.
But isn't that obvious? When like there will like you bring out a game and there will be people complaining about a certain feature all the time, then maybe that feature just doesn't fit in the game. I feel like that's obvious, right? You should be able to figure that out.
You work really hard to get that one working right, and then they complain about the first one again because those features are at odds. You're just wasting time. You're just going in circles. And then the third reason, I think, third category of why extra development time won't help you is discoverability. I have a video, and I'll link it below, on discoverability and why it's becoming a bigger and bigger issue. It basically is there's too many games out there, and it's hard to find yours. So
I don't think so. I think you can get discovered if you have a good game. And there's been so many examples of games that got discovered. Okay. What do you
giving
mean?
you all the development time in the world won't necessarily make your game more discoverable.
This is my problem. Yeah. Survivorship, I hate this word. I hate this word. I hate this word. Let's say there's 100 people and they all follow the same steps and they all get successful. And then you just call that survivorship bias. I feel like that's just lazy. You're just lazy. It's like, I'm not even gonna try because these people only survived because they got lucky. Then show me a game that is really good that did not get lucky. Because that's ultimately what you believe then. There are games out there that didn't get lucky, but they are really good. Every time I ask this question, not a single person can link me a single game. Because they don't exist. I'm not talking about 2 story sources and you're rage baiting. That's not true. We have had multiple stories. We literally read one, Terminus. The story of Terminus. Because they haven't been found? No, Diamond, because they don't exist. That's why they haven't been found. Because that's why people make posts on Reddit. Hey, this game should be better. I guarantee you that there would be at least one post, but there's not a single one. There is no formula to success, I agree, but there are steps that people repeat that made successful games that seem to always be the same steps. So why not follow these steps to give yourself a higher chance at, let's say, being lucky? I just don't agree with the fact that, oh, it's survivorship bias. That means that it won't work for me, so I'm not gonna give it a try anyways. Because that just won't work. I feel like that's just such a lazy thing to say, and anyone that seriously believes that, they are bound to fail. That's honestly my opinion. Listen, if my game sucks and it's bad, I would have still learned something from the game, and we could make a better game next time. But to say it's survivorship bias and giving up before even trying, that's weak. Surely you should try to boost the odds. No, yeah, exactly. So if you see someone that is successful, they did something that was successful for them, why not give it a try too and see if it works for you? Exactly. I agree with you. I think you misunderstand what people are saying. They are saying that it's luck. They aren't saying luck is everything, but to think there are no good games yet to be discovered seems crazy to me. I'm not saying that there are no good games to be discovered. I'm saying that there are no good games that are not successful. I'm saying that a good game will eventually be successful. Eventually someone is gonna find the game because they're being promoted all the time, and that will then lead to somewhat of a success. I agree with what Aizen says. Fear and Hunger was like that? Fear and Hunger? Let's see. So this game, you say, was on Steam. Awesome. I love when it's on Steam. Wow, that's really good. Let's see. Can I look at it on SteamDB, please? Okay, we can at least look at it on SteamDB, because that's the important one. We can't look at it on Steam. Look at it on Steam. Oh, yes. Awesome. But you're wrong, too. Fear and Hunger was not a bad game. Why do I say that? Because it had 16 players consistently. Over 10 players every day. It has a penis in the game? You can't see it? What if the dev quit? Then it would have probably stayed the same. So the story of this game is most likely that because of this amount of players every day, he managed to make the game better. I guarantee. Let's look at the patches. Can I see? How do you read this graph? I don't understand how this works. 9 builds in 2019. I took 2 years to make 1 build. It doesn't matter how many builds you do. What matters is the content of the builds. But I don't know if we can actually see that. So I don't know what type of updates he did, unfortunately. The only thing this tells me is that, let's look at the price history. It's been up for 6 euros the entire time. And so then what happened here that made it pop off? Someone played the game or something? It had a small amount of player base and then it exploded a few years after. The game was good already pretty much from the beginning. So that's my point. If the game was not good, then the player graph would have not been 10 players the entire time. Absolutely not. Because a good game, a bad game has 0 to 1 players. And it is always the same. That's a bad game. A good game has a couple of players that keep it alive. No, that's how it is. Like, guys, that's just how it is. I'd recommended the game to a few of my girlfriends in January 23, Cakez. Maybe that was it. Okay, bro. Okay. Any copas here today? Ah, okay. Yeah, guys, you can listen. If you want to be lazy in your life and say that no matter what you do, it all boils down to luck, and it doesn't matter if you make a good game, you will be successful if you get lucky, then do that. Okay, listen. Walk around in the world in your life and basically put all of the power into something else that is out of your control. Do that. Listen. If you want to waste away your life like that, do that, okay? You're never gonna do anything meaningful, but hey, you also can't get hurt or you can't fail because you're not doing anything. You're not putting effort in. Do that. Hey, listen, more power to you. But I believe that the more energy you put into something, the more aware you're trying to be, the more you are going in open, trying to learn, you will become better at what you're doing, and eventually you will be lucky, aka find the success. That's how I believe. That's what I believe. Luck equals preparation meets opportunity. Exactly. Everyone can be lucky all the time. And the more you prepare, the more likely you're going to be able to use that luck to your advantage. You can manipulate luck.
The money that you spent on that extra development time came out of your marketing budget. Because that's the truth. When there's 25,000 games coming out a year.
Let's go!
You kind of need a good marketing budget. You need some way of letting gamers know, hey, have you heard of my game? You might like it.
Ooh.
So, like I said, all the extra game development time in the world won't help your game get discovered because those are completely orthogonal things. So, I hope that answers the question, but let me just give this recommendation to you. If this happens to you, you got your extra time, game shipped and it didn't sell, watch my video, I'll link it below, on what to do when your game doesn't sell. Because I've had to do that myself.
I want to watch that video tomorrow. Because the steps that you can do when your game doesn't sell is to make the game better and listen to the feedback if you've gotten any feedback. And then do meaningful changes and update your Steam page to make it look vastly different than it was before. If you have a Steam page, of course. And then with that feedback and the changes, hopefully your game starts to sell and you see an improvement. So, if your game doesn't sell, you don't get feedback. You can always get feedback somewhere. So, for example, some game developers have come into my chat and asked for feedback for the game. Then I played the game on stream. There were a bunch of people that watched it, and then they gave their feedback too. So, like, there's always an opportunity for you to get feedback. To think that you can't get any feedback is outrageous and lazy. It's just another lazy opinion, in my opinion.
So,
or make a YouTube video, like something. Like, make a catchy title. I failed at making a video game. My first video game was a failure. These videos do very well. Like, there's so many things you can do.
There's one thing I'm kind of an expert on is what steps you take after your game doesn't sell well.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
yeah,
I hope that answered your question, T4, and you won.
You should not have your friends play test your game because they're gonna lie to you. They don't want to hurt your feelings. Even if they say they won't tell you straight out. So here's the link of the video. I think it's a good one. I love Timothy Kane. He's awesome. I like listening to old people. They always have some good wisdom. So here you go. And if you want to support him, Mr. Timothy Kane, then watch the video again on 1% volume. Put it in another tab, but watch it to the end. So then he gets your full view, the maximum amount of engagement, and then YouTube will promote the video. Otherwise, love this guy. Love listening to him. Old people are usually really good. Usually, not always, but I like this guy. His opinions, he has some really good knowledge and opinions too. So yeah, let's work on the game, right? Let's make it better. More development time, boys.